All right, welcome to the first episode of Here Hoodlum, a new podcast I'll be running through my YouTube, Spotify, whatever the hell we put this on. And we're basically each week we're going to take on a variety of weird different topics, just kind of whatever strikes my fancy at the time. Anyway, for today's podcast, I'm Christer Maxine Schmidt, or the Wolf Hoodlum, and joining me are Namu.
Sorry.
You're all good. I don't have a format for this yet, so go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Namu. I'm a VTuber, Twitch streamer, and a scare actor.
And then also joining me are my friends David and Eris, who both have gone through the 17th door. Namu's worked at the 17th door. And Eris, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Eris. I am from Houston, Texas, and I've been a scare actor since I was 16.
Eris and
I'm a special effects makeup artist for movies and stuff.
And Eris and I worked together at Los Angeles Haunted Hayride last year, 2023. So we got experience working in the Hellbilly Halloween maze.
Yeah.
And then my friend over here, David, who came with me to the 17th door back in 2018, 2019. So you've gone through the maze twice at this point. Tell us a little bit about you.
All right, so my name is David. I work as an airsoft referee, so I pretty much will go to a lot of airsoft events where we do kind of extreme stuff. I'll say extreme, it depends on what you do, but like running around shooting each other with toy guns. I'll do some like 48-hour events and other type of things like that. So when Hoodlum told me, like, oh, hey, let's do a 17th door thing, I was like, why not? It's not the worst I've done.
Yeah, so that's the crew here for this first episode. So I guess I'll give you a little bit of background. So I'm going to talk about primarily the 17th door haunted house today, which is what they refer to as an extreme haunted house, which are basically haunted houses where they're allowed to touch you and do other physical things to you that they couldn't otherwise do at your typical haunt at like Knott's Berry Farm or Universal Studios or any other haunted house you've been to. When I first discovered like extreme haunted houses, I had a friend in the pup community named Gear, and he came up to me showing me a video of this place called McCamey Manor, which was this extreme haunted house where they could do all sorts of stuff to you. I mean, basically torture. I mean, there's all sorts of videos about it, and I'll get into it a little bit later because the guy's kind of a con artist. But this is how I discovered like extreme haunts exist, and that the concept of like basically being inside of your own torture porn movie was a concept. But as I started to get more into haunted houses,
sorry, I was trying to find like the description of how you discover it as a torture porn. I find that funny.
Yeah, I mean, like some of those really are. Like you look at something like Blackout or stuff like that, it feels very much like you're inside of like a Saw movie or inside of like a Hostel, something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But the first one I remember coming across, right, that I was interested in was 17th Door. The 17th Door is a haunted house that they run over in Fullerton, I believe. Yeah, Fullerton.
It was Fullerton, but we recently moved to Buena Park. It's right across from Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah, it's a lot of people that used to work at Knott's Scary Farm, right, that work on the attraction?
Sometimes there's a lot of people actually who work at Disneyland who work at the 17th door during Halloween.
It's a funny crossover.
She's like, I know there were some
to a world of scares.
Yes.
Were there some? I think the creator of it, right, was like a designer for Scary Farm, though. I could be wrong about that. Seem to recall reading about that at some point.
I actually don't know. I know his name is Robbie. He does a lot. He builds year-round. They have like an entire team that helps build the sets, helps build like all of the attractions that we have, like because we have like, say for example, we have this room where you sit down in these chairs and there's buttons in front of you and you can basically pick somebody to shock or electrocute in a way. And they will have to do that to make sure it works every single time that you go into it.
Yeah, I remember going through that room.
Torture themselves in order to make sure the equipment works?
Yeah, pretty much.
I think we went through that one, David.
When me and Christer went, they didn't have that. I wish they did.
That's one of the more recent things. I think it's been there since about 2020, 2021, somewhere around there.
Wait, didn't we do that, Chris?
Yeah, I remember the shock room when we went through in 2018 or 2019. I forget which year. But I do definitely remember like the...
They change it every year, so it differentiates every single time.
Okay.
How many years have you worked there?
I worked there 2 years. I was supposed to work there last year, but I also work a retail job, so the schedules did not correlate with each other, so I couldn't.
Is it hard to get a job there? Because I'm trying to do that.
It's not necessarily hard, but it's better if you have connections. Part of the reason why I got in was because my stepdad works there, and he's worked there since 2017.
That makes a difference.
Yeah, that's
So what you're saying is you can help get me hired there.
Pretty much, because you're my friend. Yeah, because my stepbrother, he worked there as well before he moved to Michigan, and he got one of his friends in. So, I mean, if you want to work there, I can help you.
I do. Whenever me and Christer
interested.
went, I talked to them afterwards because I hated working at Los Angeles Haunted Hayride.
Yeah.
So I went up to them and I said, could y'all give me some information on the hookup of how to work here? Because I have to escape the hayride.
Haunted Hayride was kind of a mess management-wise.
I'm a makeup artist professionally.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them I could do that, but I do contortion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As a scare actor, it's way more fun. And they said, oh, interesting. And then they told me to audition in like July, I believe.
Yeah, we have auditions in July because we open in September, like mid-September. So they start prepping around like August.
Yeah, I would do that. I would for sure do that. It's a bit far for me because I'm in LA, but if it's not hayride, I will absolutely take the trek. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Haunted Hayride, not to get into that too much, but that was just a mess. The management was a mess this year. I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
As much as I loved my coworkers, I wouldn't do it again. No.
I've done 4, or kind of like 3.5, but yeah, that was the worst experience I've ever had, so I can't settle for that again. That is not worth the minimum wage.
Fair. So, going back to 17th Door, I know previously they used to have, I think the first 2 years of its operation or more were a school theme, and then it switched to the prison theme. And it seems like it's been in that prison theme for a really long time.
It was supposed to change around 2020, but then that's when COVID hit. So
makes sense.
For like the last 2 years, it's been prison when it was supposed to not be. But I know they're changing majority of it. I don't really know which ones they're changing yet, but I do know a lot of the rooms, if not all, are going to be different.
Is there anything you can tell us, kind of like sneak preview?
Yeah.
So any sort of like sneak preview stuff you can give us, or is it mostly kind of under wraps until they make their announcements?
It's kind of under wraps until they make the announcements. One, just because they don't really share all of it with us. But I think until they just give little sneak previews, I'm not really at liberty to say much about that.
Did you have to sign an NDA for that?
No, it's just they'd rather people just go in and find out.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like if you say something, it kind of ruins that, I guess that kind of fear factor because you kind of know what to expect.
It kind of ruins the effect, I guess, yeah.
Like when I went with Chris, is like, that terrified the hell out of me at first. I was like, oh God, why am I doing this? Kind of regret this. And then afterwards, when I was heading home, like, that was pretty fun. And then the next time I was like, okay, I enjoy this. This is fun fear.
See, I had kind of a weird thing with it where, like, the first time I did it, it was scary, but it was scarier the second and third time because I knew what to expect. Like, the first time, like, if I got zapped randomly, I had no idea what was going to happen. But, like, the second and third time, I'm like, okay, where are they coming? Where are they going to get me with?
Yeah.
I started to feel like you almost, like, anticipate something crazy happening. You don't quite know what. But, like, the first time I was there, like, you had that fresh eyes of, like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen, so I'm going to just go blind into this. And after that, I'm like, okay, what crazy thing are they going to throw me into? So one thing to transition into this, I wanted to talk a little bit about our favorite like rooms at the haunt. And let's start off with David. I guess you did like the earlier years there. So I want to just go see each of you what you guys think was like the best room that either you've worked or that you've been through. That was not worded well.
It's one of my favorite ones that I went to. I think it was the one we did in 2018, where you had to like crawl through this vent. And it was like this inflatable. I don't know what it was, but like inflatable thing would like inflate right above you, so it just squish you down, press you against the metal or like the floor of it. Although it was supposed to be, you're supposed to be afraid. I'll be honest, I was laughing during that time. One thing for me is that when I start getting scared in that aspect, like adrenaline rush scare, I just start like doing my end. I did my anticle. I forget the word of it, but I just started laughing and just like, oh, this is fun. And then when I was crawling through the metal part of it, it was shocking you. It's like as you're like crawling through, it just starts shocking you. So that was like a little bit of an adrenaline rush.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember that bit. It was like an airbag, right, that came down onto you and like pushed you into the floor.
Yeah, we had that last year as well in one of the last rooms.
Was that the variant that had the water trap at the end?
Yeah, it was that room.
That's okay. I didn't do it last year, but I read about that and it scared the crap out of me, honestly.
We had it last year. Oh yeah, the last room that we had last year and the year before. I don't know if it was the same the year before that as well, but anyway, the last room it's called Flood Tunnel, and it's basically the same concept. You're crawling into this tight little space, and then they're going to yell at you from the other side, saying that like to put in this number, put in the code, right? Like 1475, some random number, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, they're just like, hold your breath, because the airbags will start inflating and push you down, and you're held underwater for like 5 seconds.
Okay, that sounds fun. I want to go back now.
Yeah, so that would terrify me.
They didn't have it this year.
It was so fun. I remember doing it at the end of Haunt because sometimes if we weren't as busy, they would come through all of our rooms and just like, hey, do you want to go through the maze before we close? And I would go in full cosplay, or like cosplay, not cosplay. Like, I'm a cosplayer too. Sorry, my bad. I would go in full out, like the costume.
Your outfit?
Yeah, and then I would just take my makeup off so easy afterwards.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Half that.
Another one of my favorite was the firing room one, or like the execution one.
Oh, firing squad. That's so fun.
Yeah.
That was my favorite. I thought that was so funny because I did not anticipate that.
It's such a good concept, honestly. Just how you come back around to it.
It
But
was so out there that I just started laughing because I was like, no fucking way. Are y'all about to shoot us? And they did. They did.
So for all the listeners that don't know, there is one room where you are placed inside of a firing squad, basically, or you have like a bag put over your head, and you can't really see who's firing at you, but you just start getting pelted with basically ping pong balls. I think basically we'd say it's about what there, something like that. But you're getting pelted by these.
Almost.
Yeah, they're kind of hard. They were kind of rubbery.
Yeah, they left a couple of welts on me for sure. Like
Yeah, too.
But like the best part
is I do airsoft, so when I got into that firing, the execution part, I was like, oh hell yeah, I know what to expect. So I just covered my eyes, like, all right, let's have fun. And the best part about that one too is that before you enter the execution part, or like maybe 3 mazes or 3 scare rooms before that, is that you are the people shooting at the executions. So it's like, okay, haha, you get to shoot other people, and then the tables are turned, and then you're getting shot at by other people. So I think that was a fun twist.
We
Yeah,
didn't get to do
reverse,
that. There
though.
wasn't a group behind us.
no, it's right. We
did
only had the
shoot
scare actor in there. That's what. No, that's actually it's the reverse of what you said though. Where like it's just like 3 rooms later you do that, because then you get revealed that like you get so angry that like the people that are like shooting you are like, you think it's the actors, then you realize, oh, it was other people just like us that were doing the same thing to us. It's like such like that sense of like revenge you get.
One guy who was solo, and we all just shot at him. I felt kind of bad afterwards.
Oh, that's so funny.
I do
Yeah, like he
remember
was
that.
solo, and I think he said the safe word. So one of the scare actors like stood in front to protect him.
Oh, he had
I
like
think
those
he
like
had, 6 people with us, just full on just shooting at him.
There's like the little green glow
Said
stick
it too
that's like
late.
the safety thing. I think he had one of those.
Yeah.
What does the glow stick mean, other than just saying mercy?
It's basically just to tell people they'll complain because, say for example, you have to have it in front of you, like on the outside where it's visible. But some people will put it inside of their shirt, and then they get upset that we're messing with them or that we're touching them. And it's like, come on, it's common knowledge. You buy it for a reason.
Yeah.
They're mad.
Let
you
us
don't have
just
extra
show us. Yeah. And I'm just like, come on, really, come on.
Why can't you see it in my purse?
No.
It's like I clearly have the glow stick underneath my pockets, like 3 layers down on my clothing. Why are you touching me?
Use your X-ray vision.
They're mad just to be mad. That's crazy.
Well, Nami, what would you say is what rooms have you worked, and what would you say like are your favorite rooms?
Well, I used to go through as a guest before I started working there. I know we had this room, I think it was around like 2018, 2019. It was also one of those, like, the water rooms. You would crawl up into like a really high spot or like a really low spot. And then it's kind of the same concept as the year before where water will just start coming up. But you weren't being pushed down or anything. You were just trying to push the door open. But that one was really kind of more tame. But the room that I enjoyed working was, I used to work the VR room. And it was the first room that you go into if you buy that add-on. So if you bought the separate add-on to do the virtual reality, you're put into this room, you're told the rules, you're shown this video, and then you're put into this room with like 8 different chairs. There's 4 chairs on each side. And you have to put like a seatbelt on, your wrists are strapped to it, and obviously the headset, and then the headphones, and then this video will play on the other side, and you're electrocuted at some point. The chairs, they will move. They'll go up, they'll go down, they'll like move forward and like behind you. That was a really fun room to do, especially if there was like not a full group, we would do it too. So we would just sit on the chairs and just kind of exist.
That's fun.
Didn't they have that as like the pay to extra VR experience?
Yeah.
That's what I did.
Yeah, I remember doing that one for the first time, and what got me with that one was that like when they strap you down to the chair, they were like electrocuting you, right? But like the straps themselves, what I ended up realizing is the more you tug against them, the more you got shocked. Like I think the actual
It'll just
like
tighten on itself.
yeah, and like I think the zappers themselves were on the actual strap, so like you know your first instinct is to pull against it, but then like you're just getting yourself more.
Yeah, what we have, it's the little shocks are not on the straps itself, but there is a separate metal piece that's on there underneath,
makes
so it
sense.
shocks you more.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then I worked that room, but my other favorite room that I liked was Circle Shock, which is the one that I told you where you sit down, there's like a lap bar that pulls in front of you and you can pick. That one was really fun. I started working there at some point because we needed just somebody else in there aside from one person. So I would be in there and it's like, you tell people to pull the lap bar down, to pick somebody in front of you, and if they didn't respond or like they didn't do it, I would just end up doing it because, you know, we've all. So yeah, that one was really fun. But it was right before the roach room, and it would always smell so bad.
The roach room.
My stepdad actually works the roach room.
Aw.
Okay, I think you know who he is then. I can't remember him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like his room. Anytime that he doesn't even have to really audition, he just goes, because he's been a veteran for so long. So that's just his designated room. And then anytime they try to train somebody else, they end up moving them because they can't do the job, like as well of a job as he does.
Can I ask a question about his job?
Yeah.
Did they ever actually put the roaches in your clothing, or did they fake it every time?
Oh no, he actually puts the roaches.
Thought so.
Because, what was that?
I just said I thought so.
He faked it a couple times with the guy we went with. He was very, very skittish, and he kept pretending to put it on him, but he never did. So I always wondered since then if he does sometimes or if it's always kind of I'm going to make you think I'm going to, but not actually.
Most of the time that is the case. Like, he'll do it if he knows that they're skittish, like he'll pretend. But if you come in being like a jerk and like pushing us, actually touching us, which you're not supposed to do, he'll dump roaches inside of your clothing.
Oh god. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, so the 17th door, they breed their roaches months before we actually open. And there's a show that we actually have called Spook Show 17. And it's basically showing what happens in the process of breeding, making the rooms, putting everything together, and yeah, it's kind of just an entire thing.
Yeah, I remember watching through Spook Show 17. Would you say that like really described a lot of what was going on there, or like was there stuff that was like changed for TV, or like would you say it's a pretty accurate view?
Most of it is pretty accurate, if not all, because there are cameras recording you all the time. Especially when I worked there, I think it was 2021 to 2022. And the first year that I started working there, which was 2021, there was cameras on us 24/7, like, so to speak. They would come through the rooms. I actually got interviewed at one point because at some point during the rooms, there was like this little altercation between two of the other actors in my room. The nurses that we have are called Vixies. So there was a little disagreement between the two Vixies, and they came through and they're just like, so what happened? And it was just somebody misheard something, and then they started fighting, and then somebody else had a panic attack, so they had to leave.
Oh, man.
So how often, speaking of like things that like altercations that happen there, how often do you guys get like drunk guests that just misbehave and act? Because I remember at LA Haunted Hayride, it was like really frequent, but I gotta imagine it's a whole different ballgame.
No, it's pretty much every day. So the first year I actually worked there, I lost my voice within the last week of working there because I had this drunk guest come in with his girlfriend and start proposing to me. And I was like, get up off the floor, dude. I'm not trying to deal with this right now. Because I had to go outside into the queue to get them to put them in the room because I was in charge at this point. Because the person who was in charge went on lunch, right? So they were like, here you go. You're in charge. Bring the guest. And I was like, okay, simple enough. I don't know why. The first time I went outside, of course, this weird person just comes and just like, I love you so much. I want to marry you. His girlfriend was just like, okay, whatever. So I brought them into the room. I started saying the rules. He would not pay attention for the life of him. He was staring at me. He was just like, I love you so much. You're so beautiful. And I'm like, dude, I'm in makeup. You can't even see what I look like, dude.
Jeez.
It's okay. I don't need to see. It's okay.
Exactly. It's just like, come on.
Literally down so bad.
He was. I don't even know why. And then we put them inside the room and he would not listen. I had to tell him to take off his hat. And we got so fed up that we had one of the guards in the front. Because when you go through the maze, you're put into the room, right in the beginning. And they're just like, okay, what is the safe word? Blah, blah, blah. And he was an old friend of mine. And he came into the VR room and just stood there and just watched us because he would not leave me alone. So I had to shout, like I was screaming at the top of my lungs for him to shut up and listen because he was not listening because he was just so inebriated to the point that he was just like, I know nothing but you, you know?
Glass eyes.
Yeah, pretty much. And like, that's pretty much just the average thing that happens at this rate.
So,
Do y'all deal with a lot of violent guests or just drunk guests?
Some of both. For example, my stepdad, because he works the roach room and he does what he does, you know, he will have guests try to fight him, try to hit him. He had this one woman jump on his back and it sprained it so bad that he has to go to physical therapy.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I walked out at the end of the night and he was just laying on the couch in the break room and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Man,
Jeez.
people will do anything when they're scared.
I mean, we ran into a lot of that haunted hayride, honestly.
Yeah, I had it especially but you know what? I kind of enabled it. I'm not even gonna lie. Because the way that I set up my scares, I really, really milked how quick and limber I am and how fast I can move in and out. So I got swung on a lot because I did push it. I got very close many times, but I was so quick and kind of seasoned that I've done it years that I knew how to gauge body language fast enough that I never ever actually got hit. Except one time a lady slapped me with her glove and said no. And that was kind of insane. And I said, "What?"
Oh god, I think I remember that woman too, because I'm pretty sure I put up the knife. I put my little toy knife up to her throat, and then she just put the knife, she grabs the knife and shoves it back towards me. She's like, "No."
I was like, "What? Did you just say no?" I can duck a man swinging on me, but somebody's mother with a glove slapped me in the face for being rude.
Did she take off the glove, or was it just in her hand, just ready to slap someone?
It was in her hand. I think it's because I scared a child she was with, but the child was behind her because I personally don't like scaring kids if they're not into it and having fun. So I don't want to traumatize a child over a minimum wage thing. I don't think that's really fun for me.
I feel like she grabbed the glove. I feel like she grabbed the glove off in a previous room, and then she was already ready to get someone with it.
It was too nice looking. It was like a little a Burlington thing.
I kind of imagine a Victorian era girl and just taking off the glove
she
just to
was
slap you.
giving that. She kind of was giving that vibe. She didn't look like it, but the mannerism, that is what she did. She like as if I was being rude and she couldn't fathom how disrespectful I was, and she smacked me and said no, and that's why I was so shocked, and I was like, "Wait, what just happened?" I did not anticipate that. It was very funny. I can anticipate a punch, but not that. That was not on my bingo card of what was going to happen in there.
It reminds me when I went to, I think it was Knott's Scary Farm, and one of the actors broke character. He's like, "Hey, everybody, attention, attention. This woman has been recording for 12 minutes straight." And me and my friend got close to her, and we saw her phone. She'd been recording for 12 minutes. And it was just a little funny thing like that. It's no one expects randomness.
It was fun to jump out of character just every once in a while, just to say something to really make a guest confused.
Yeah.
You don't need to scare them all the time, just confuse them.
My philosophy is if you can't make them scared, because there are truly people who just are not jumpy, then make them laugh, because they're really paying to be entertained more than anything.
Yeah.
True.
They're paying to have a good time. So if you can't scare them, if they're an old Vietnam veteran and they've seen the craziest things you could ever imagine, they're not scared of me. They're like, "I've seen the atrocities of war. You mean nothing to me." So I might as well do something that's kind of weird that makes them laugh at least.
Moving forward with the guest safety, and safety. I had a question actually, Namu. How does the 17th door determine which traps are safe? What's the testing process for that kind of thing? Are you privy to any of that?
I know some things. So, for example, we have this room called Tumblr, and you're put into this room and it spins 180, And there's clowns in it. They'll jump on top of you, but they're like, "Get up," right? But before then, they have the building team and some of the actors go in and see if it's okay. So
Fair.
Yeah, they'll get in it, they'll test it, and if there's something that needs to be changed or something that needs to be slower, they will do that before we open.
Didn't we do that one, Chris? That sounds
Yes.
familiar.
Yeah, we did definitely the Tumblr room.
So most likely.
Yeah.
I was like, the Tumblr Room was introduced like 2019, right?
Yeah. Also, one thing, Namu, I want to ask this one question. The gum wall, is that actual gum or?
Oh yeah, no, that's actual gum.
So nasty.
Yeah, one of my friends.
We still have that there, I think, too. Yeah, because we advise you to not chew gum, like in case you choke, some shit like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, my bad. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse.
You can curse on here. It's fine.
Okay. I'm so sorry. It's just instinct. I'm so sorry, but yeah. So we advise you not to, just like I said, in case you choke or something. You spit it out and then it gets stuck on something. So sometimes the actors will have you spit it in their hand and then they'll stick it on the wall. We still have it, but it's not used. Oh yeah, the eyelash wall. We actually moved it because we're in Buena Park now, so it's still there. But
that's what we saw last time. Because I got my head shaved right next to it. They shaved my underside.
Okay.
I really liked in the Buena Park location with the change. I love that like meandering long hallway into it. It like sets the vibe for it so well.
Yeah, I didn't even know we had that. My little sister, I would be at work and she'd call me and I'm just like, where are you? And she's walking down this long hallway and I'm just like, where are you? And she's like, I'm at the 17th door. And I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, it's ominous looking.
Yeah, honestly, it sets the mood.
I didn't get to go in last year. I wanted to take my friends and my partner, and he was like, no, I'm good. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess.
Well, I will drag him going this
Dude,
time.
okay, look.
You will have no choice.
David, I told him, I was like, look, you could bring your friend. I can get like 3 people in for free. Come on, just go with me. And at first, he was so down. He was like, yeah, I'll go. And then after some point, I was like, do you want to go? And he was like, no, I'm scared. And I was like, okay, whatever.
He does not do good with fear, but I can go to his house and be like, hey, yo, let's go get sushi. And he's like, okay, sure. Now I can just drive him there. He will keep
Dude, please.
Ambush him.
Ambush.
Because we were talking about it actually the other day, and I was just like, I want to go to the 17th door. He was like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yeah, I wanted to do it last year, but somebody kind of bailed on me. And he was like, okay, I'll do it this year. And I was like, okay, you say so.
And something I've seen with like extreme haunts in general is that it's one of those areas where like people that are usually down for stuff might still turn it down because it's like a step over what they're comfortable with. So I get like some people that are like way into the 17th door, but then like you try to rally up certain groups of people and they're just very cold feet before they even get there.
Part of the reason why I think that is the case if you were to bring it up to somebody is if you mention like or there's bugs involved and they're just like, no thanks.
I think for a lot of people there's like that one phobia. There's like that.
My best friend did the same thing. She was so down to go until it came down to going. And then she said, I looked at YouTube videos and scared myself. I don't think I can do it.
Well, like, I was talking with Kyle, right? I was trying to get Kyle Clark to come with us when we did it last year. And at first he seemed kind of interested, but he definitely got cold feet at a point. I'm not sure which one it was that did it for him, but I forget. He mentioned one of the rooms specifically, and he was like, maybe not.
Well, you can always mercy out of it.
That's what I try to tell people is that like it's cool that you can actually mercy out of one room. Because I mean, there's a lot of extreme haunts. The whole thing is you have to make it through the entire thing. But I always appreciated that 17th door. Like,
it's a good in between.
Yeah, this one you don't necessarily have to. Like, if you do end up mercying, we'll take you out of the room. You can wait for your group. So, like, for example, in the VR room, if you end up mercying, you can we'll turn off the shocks. You can take off the headset. You can leave it on if you want. We'll take off the straps for you, but if you want to get up completely, then you can just stand at the door and just watch. We won't like make you do it. If you don't want to do it, we're not going to force you.
So like what I always appreciated about like 17th Door was that it works as very much as kind of a starter extreme haunt for a lot of these kind of things. Like there's other extreme haunts I've looked at, but like I get cold feet because I'm like, I don't think I can do the entirety of it. I can do this portion of it and that portion of it, but like they'll get you with something. That'll break me.
Build up too.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's the anticipation of it, right? I mean, that's what works about haunted houses so well in general.
I think everyone goes to like the ones at like Disneyland or Universal Studios and be like, okay, that's scary. And then they're like, oh, wait, a scary one where they can touch you? Oh, no. And then they think of it like the got how you were saying earlier, like Saw movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I mean, like, when you look at like the really famous examples, like McCamey Manor or Blackout, like those ones are extreme. They're intense. You know, they're very in your face and they're very relentless. Well, that's why I wish we had some more like extreme haunts that kind of were closer to like 17th Doors realm, because there's not a whole lot that are within that style. The only other one that I'm aware of is like Gates of Hell over in Las Vegas. They haven't run anything in a while, but I know that one's kind of similar to 17th Door in style.
I don't think I know any off the top of my head that are the same style. That's why I like 17 Doors. I think it's very unique in how it approaches it. Because you're absolutely right. There's a lot that they're kind of one or the other, right? They're either extreme, or they're normal. I like that it's a little bit of both. I thought it wasn't. It was more fun than scary, in my opinion. I thought it was really fun because it was really fast paced. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have a lot of time to get scared. I just kind of was like, "Oh, what's happening? Oh, that hurt. Oh, okay, next door."
It's like this thing was 17th Door.
17th Door is like the rooms itself. There's a timer on the top of the room, so the actors can tell when they need to bring you in, when they need to bring you out. Every room is like 2 to 3 minutes long. I think the longest one that we have is VR because you're watching an entire video.
This one, it seemed like to me is like
spiders.
With the whole 17th Door thing, it seems like because you're racing from room to room, you don't have time to linger on anything that would be particularly torturous to you. So like a phobia has to hit just right for you to mercy out of it, right? So like the only room that I've ever mercied out of was I did it in 2019 and then I mercied out of it last year. Was the one that like where you get like vacuum sealed in with like the latex.
Oh yeah, they did bring that back, huh?
Yeah, and I mercied out of it last year because the time I'd done it previously, it just triggered a phobia. Yeah, I know Eris did it. I was like, nah.
Are you allergic to latex?
No.
Jinx.
Oh.
No, I had done the latex thing in 2019. I knew when I saw it coming up again, I knew that I couldn't handle it like mentally. Like that was one of those like things where like it hits on a specific phobia that really gets to me.
It was a very odd feeling. I felt like I was a baby in a womb or something.
That's pretty much what it's like because there's like those like rubber band things going across your face, and then the latex itself, and it's like you're in there for like 5 seconds at most, maybe 6.
I think it was 10 because they count.
Was it? Yeah. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Okay, the first time I did that was probably around 2019, and it did not feel like I was in there that long.
I got it.
Yeah, it was
like 10 or 15 seconds ish.
Yeah, it felt pretty long to me, honestly.
I don't know, they might have changed it because I forgot they brought that back. Because we were supposed to change the rooms, like I said, in like 2020, 2021, but because of COVID and like everything was kind of on a time crunch, I know they didn't, especially last year since they moved from Fullerton to Buena Park. So I forgot they brought that back.
For me,
about that room in particular. I was wondering, whenever I did it, it vacuum sealed me so tightly that I could not even move my finger. So, hypothetically, what if it broke? What is the backup plan? Do y'all have, like, a knife to cut open it? Like, is there anything in place for if that ever does not lift off of people's bodies in time?
Oh, yeah. So, for that room, actually, in Spook Show 17, they did show that room being built. Oh my god, I'm sorry if you hear that thud. My cat is ramming himself at my door because it's closed.
Yeah, we can't hear
it. So, if that does happen, they're just going to have to manually just lift everything off of you. Because if it's being vacuum sealed and the vacuum itself breaks, then it can't really be enclosed, you know?
Uh-huh.
But the holes on the back of the wall are supposed to help it suction. That's why if you ever go in that room again, if they have it, and then you turn to look at the wall, there's a bunch of little holes in it because there's tiny little vacuums that are being suctioned into the wall.
Oh, interesting. Science.
Yeah, so that room for me basically was the one that hit my phobia, right? Because if I can't breathe, I start to panic. And I was just kind of curious, like, how often someone finds that specific phobia. Like, I know when David was going through it during the VR part, I could actively hear you screaming when the spider appeared on screen.
Oh yeah, I hate spiders.
Oh, I hated that.
I hate spiders so much. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I screamed at it, and then the actors picked up on it and kept putting the little tinglies or whatever the hell on my hands, on my arms. It was like, I don't want to say mercy.
Yeah.
I want to experience this, but I hate whoever's doing this to me. I hate you.
Yeah, sometimes we would have little, like, they would give us little feathers or, like, stuff like that. And say, for example, you mercy out of it, but you don't want to stop. They will, like, touch you. Like, they'll touch your arms, touch your legs. I remember when I did the VR, it was that exact video, and I mercied. I could not do it.
Have y'all ever done the roach room, but with spiders?
No, I really hope
God.
we don't.
I
really hope we don't.
My DM.
I know!
That's terrifying.
If anyone working at 17th Door hears this, please do not listen to their insanity. Please
Don't take this idea.
Do it. Hell yeah.
David would walk around in the room and be like, fuck this shit, Mercy, I'm out.
That's why. That's
I'm
why
out.
they
Nope.
do it. What if they had the option to mercy between one or the other? Like, you're gonna choose one of these insects, or you're gonna choose this right now. Either you get a roach, or you get a spider.
I'd rather
Roach.
get a roach.
I got the roach.
Yeah.
I will kiss a roach. Actually, I used to have roaches as pets.
Ew.
I'd rather have a spider.
You're
I
insane.
think roaches. I associate roaches with like dirty. So to me, I'm like, ew.
Oh,
but
true.
spiders.
Yeah, that's fair.
I take either of them over ants. Ants are the ones that get to me, honestly.
Oh, yeah, no, I
Oh,
cannot
wow.
with ants.
I can't do ants.
That's really unique. I've never heard someone say that they hate ants more than spiders.
I
Ants,
never heard anyone say
the only ones that are worse than ants are bees. I can't stand bees at all.
Bees are so
Really?
cute, though.
But bees will buzz in your ears and
Bees
just
are
like
my
triggers
favorite.
me. I can't do
I
it.
literally said, fuck the bees.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
bees are adorable. What about wasps? You like bees
hell-
more than wasps?
No, wasps are worst. I mean, like, any of the flying insects I don't like, but like, the more mean they are, the worse.
I have a special hatred.
The more meat.
Yeah, like bumblebees
that's
are,
real.
are fine, but like wasps, hell no, hell no.
Imagine they did a room of.
Blah.
You just get stung. That's it. You just get stung a bunch.
God,
Oh,
we
man.
already
It would just
have,
be me
like,
at work
roaches.
again.
Dude, we already have roaches, like, walking into random rooms. I don't think we need wasps.
Do y'all
Don't
get
think about that because they just go to
desensitized?
roaches.
Do you
Oh, what?
all working there get desensitized to them because you just see
I
them so
don't.
much? Kind of.
I will scream. I don't know about everybody else, but I will
my
scream if
God.
there's a room there.
Stepdad? Does your stepdad use that against you? Does he ever mess with you because he knows that?
Sometimes he does, but he's always telling me and like my little sister, he's like, "You two are the safest people here. Why are you scared?" Because
Yeah.
you go with him, so we're in his car, you know. So
Yeah.
it's like he's always just like, "I don't know why you're scared. You're the safest people here."
I don't
saw
feel
one-
safe.
I know I don't feel safe. I'm scared.
One harm
Just
put
start
rats in
with
the
the-
wall.
What?
They had tubes going throughout the walls, and then they put live rats running throughout them.
They're in your walls. They're in your walls.
That's so
Jeez.
weird.
Yeah, you see them.
Why
They're just
rats?
scurrying next to your head because people hate rats.
Oh my
I
goodness.
love rats. I used to have pet rats.
I like
You
rats.
have like
too.
pets
Little
everything.
Remy.
Are you- What?
Oh yeah, what was it? Right now, was it? My sister has a pet bearded dragon, a tortoise, and a snake.
Good for her.
I have a cat, bro.
Oh yeah, the
I
little
have
black
a
cat, right?
Yes, his name is Nicholas. I love him.
I have 2 black cats.
Oh my god, we have a orange tabby cat, and then I have a black cat.
Are you just
Nice.
copying me? Because I have the same damn thing.
No, my roommate has the orange cat. My cat is black cat.
Is your black cat
My cat-
female or male?
My cat is a male.
Okay, 'cause
Mine
my black
too.
cat's
Both
female.
mine.
Yeah.
Both of mine are boys. They're Frankenstein and Dracula.
That is so cute.
Our little brothers. How cute.
So to transition this into the next bit about stuff. I don't have too many more questions about the 17th door specifically, but I kind of want to get generally into talking about extreme haunts and your guys' thoughts on them. So for you guys, what's the appeal of extreme haunts for you? What is it that makes you interested in extreme haunts? What about it? Like, I know obviously we know like haunted house trying to scare people, but why? What is it that makes going that extra step that much better?
For me personally, I like that it is a controlled environment and it's only an illusion of terror. It's the closest thing you'll ever get to a horror movie, which I love with all my heart, without actually being in danger. And it's like the most, I mean, it depends on which one you're talking about, because I was going to use the word responsible, where like, you know, you're still in a safe setting, but like I said, that's depends on which one you're talking about. But me personally, I would only go to one where I know I'm not going to literally die, and there's not a chance of me literally dying or being long-term injured. And so I think it's just the fun in between of it's adrenaline and you have the illusion of being scared and being in danger, but you know at the end of the day, this is all just an illusion. It's a job for somebody, and it's not real.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's just kind of like, you're just kind of, not say fulfilling a fantasy, but like, you know, you're like, you always watch movies at home and think, dang, that'd be cool if I did that. Or, you know, you always put yourself in the image of it. And for these, like, you literally put yourself in that place. So, like, say some movies, you can watch that and be like, oh, yeah, if I was in that, I wouldn't be that foolish and not, say, cut off my toe. But if you're in the 17th door one, and I mentioned, like the shocking trap, it's like, oh, yeah, it's not even just that you shock them, it's that it's also a laser pointing to who you shocked. So you can kind of also see, like, that little aspect of fear and everything like that. It's just kind of like a big, like, adrenaline rush. That's, like, one thing I like.
I definitely get that adrenaline rush thing from it. I'm like, for me, a lot of it is just being able to say that I have done it. Like, there's a level of, like, thrill of just conquering that fear. It's like, you know, when you go on, like, a crazy-ass coaster, right? And you can just be like, I've done that crazy thing before. You can point at that and be like, I conquered that fear. I did that thing. And you feel accomplished for it.
I like the story of it. I like being able to have a story forever of how I did something that's like comically insane. The majority of society would go, girl, what the fuck? And you're like, I did that. And it's just so kind of unique that it's a funny story. 9 times out of 10 you tell it, people are like, why would you do that? And it's just a funny topic to talk about in your day-to-day life if it ever comes up. I just like having like unique stories to tell.
It's something not most people experience, and that's like
exactly
the cool part of it.
Yeah, exactly. Because at 17th door, I let them shave under my head, and it's to the majority of people that is insane. Why would you do that? To me, hair grows back, but I'll have the story forever, and I'll have the photos forever, and it's really funny, and I had a fun time. Yeah. It was just it's very memorable. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. The hair will come back, but I'll forever get to say that I let a haunted house shave my head.
Yeah, like everyone goes to like not scary farm stuff like that, but and you know like they're not allowed to touch you there, but you know people get scared, and then you mention like, oh yeah, I went to 17th door or the was it the hayride or is the manor one, and like, oh yeah, they touched and they did all this stuff, and I ate a rotten egg or whatever the hell else. I was like, okay, yeah, that's really extreme but cool.
My big thing is just at the end of the day, it's you still are safe. You know, you're not actually, everyone's an actor. They're not actually trying to kill you. They're not actually trying to suffocate, smother you. You're in a controlled environment. So it's, even if you think you're going to die and you're really scared, you're really not. So if you can do that, it's kind of a why not? You know, you don't have any actual things to fear. Like there's not any actual long-term damage that's going to happen to you. So
it's like you have nothing to lose.
Fun. Yeah, you have nothing to lose. It's just fun. You pay your $40 and have a good time, and you have memories last lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So on the reverse side of that, and I want to hear from Namu on this, what's the appeal of working at this kind of place, of being that person for someone else? You know, you're that freaky thing. And I know we have a little bit of experience with this as scare actors, but what exactly appeals to you about getting to basically mess with these different people that come through?
It's more so of just the thought of being something that, you know, people could enjoy. You know, like you're going to this place, you're signing a waiver, you know, to get in. all of these things that, you know, could possibly happen, and then you're the one on the end who's doing it, you know? It's more of just, it's really fun to see people's reactions, to see people come back, because the amount of times we've had people come back and they're just like, hey, I remember you. And I'm just like, yeah, it's me. What's up? You know?
Yeah.
I think that's really fun because you can see, oh yeah, this person really enjoyed it to the point that they're coming back multiple times throughout the month. You know? It's just, I think...
It's a unique feeling.
Yeah, that's what, it's a very special feeling.
I get that same feeling at my job, which is airsoft, and I get people coming back and be like, oh yeah, it's so much fun. It's like, yeah. It's just like that joyous feeling of you brought something into someone else's life that they never experienced, and they end up enjoying it and just want to come back and repeat it, or they'll bring friends to share the experience.
Yeah, pretty much.
At 17th Door, do you guys get to make your own characters and lean into that, or are you assigned a character whenever you audition?
More of it, like most of the time we're assigned a character during audition. Like if they decide we're fit for one role, then we can always modify it to be ourselves. Or if you're just supposed to be in character, like the main character of the 17th Door is Paula. And if you're technically, I guess, fit to be a Paula, like, then you just have a script. You have a script that you need to follow. But if you're a nurse or a Vixie, anything along those lines, then you can pretty much do whatever you want. Or at the end where we have flood tunnels, you're an inmate, right? You're free to be whoever you want in that role because you're an inmate. It doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying to phrase this next question here. So, one of the things that's come up repeatedly in the extreme haunt community is kind of an issue, has been the issue of consent. So just to talk about it a little bit, one of the big major issues that's come up has been McCamey Manor essentially had this thing for a long time where, you know, you consented to initially get into the haunt, but once you were in the haunt, they would just do whatever they wanted to you, and there wasn't any safe word. And like pretty much every other extreme haunt rejects that idea and gives a safe word at all times. But it seemed for a lot of people that there was an appeal to not having that safe word despite like the danger of it. So I was just curious a little bit about like 17th Door's approach to it. Like, where can you tell, other than the like safe word, is there a way to tell like if a guest has hit like a certain point where they're like clearly not into it anymore, they're like freaking out? Like, does anyone ever panic? I guess would be the word for it.
A lot of the times people could. It's more of a just, you'll realize in their face. Like if somebody's like visibly uncomfortable, they're shaking their head violently, like no, they don't want to do this, even if they don't have to say mercy, you know. I know consent is a very big thing, especially within the haunt community, because I know a lot of things could happen in there. It's dark, you know, you never know. But it's like, it's more of the fact you signed a waiver, you know what you're up against. But if there is something that you're uncomfortable with, let us know, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause I was just curious about that. It's been such a discussion lately.
I liked how cohesive the waiver was there. It was very condensed and easy to read. It wasn't 25 pages of legal jargon. You could actually understand what you're consenting to.
That's also kind of the main issue that we have at the 17th Door. A lot of people, they'll just sign it. And then when they go into the like opening where they're just like, okay, what's your safe word? And people are just like, pineapples. And we're just like, no, it's not.
Oh.
Come on. And then they're just like, I didn't read the waiver. And we're just like, why? What's wrong with you?
You just signed something.
So is it like an intention to keep a short waiver to try to get people to be more likely to read through it?
Most likely, yeah. That's why we usually have it like a page or two at most.
Smart people don't read.
Is there a good way to... It's like, I know one of the issues that's come up with it has been whether or not you're revealing too much inside of a waiver. Is there like a good balance that you guys strike there? between like telling people what's gonna happen without telling them what's gonna happen?
I mean, yes and no, because no, we don't really have a lot of stuff in the waiver that could tell you what'll happen, but we do have that big warning sign on the top of the building that's pretty much telling you what stuff could be involved. I don't know if it's still there, but I remember in Fullerton, we had it, and it's just that warning sign. It's just like, warning, these things are in there, latex, spitting, foul smells, whatever. But it's more of just, you should read it for your own discretion, just do it.
Just do it.
Sign a paper that lets people assault you and not read it is crazy.
It really is. Really.
That is insane.
I guess we've been taught after reading enough random iPhone agreements to just like gloss over like contracts.
Yes, I agree. I concur. Yeah.
Yep.
That's nuts.
So one other question I had, and moving on to a different topic here. So how like is your relationship with like the different venues that you hosted at? Like, considering this is such an extreme attraction, like how do you how do they approach like businesses like the mall, for example, that's running it currently, and talk to them about hosting this attraction? Like, is there pushback on that? How does it work? If you know.
I don't really know how it was at the mall, but I do know that they were kind of annoyed at first when we had it in Fullerton because it's right behind a 99-cent store. It's kind of like connected to it. And I know it is like a few stores down from some like restaurants, stuff like that. I know they were kind of annoyed because of the lines and the parking, stuff like that. But I think at some point they kind of just got over it with that. But when it was in Fullerton, it was right in front of a bunch of residential streets. So we would get the cops called on us, we would get complaints, but the police for Fullerton, they kind of already knew the situation and they were just like, okay, well, there's not much we can do. They're allowed to do this business here. Like, we can't really help you.
Yeah. All the police, because I don't like it.
What was it? Mostly
like
just the
having a
typical
neighborhood
hosting a loud event kind of deal and being like, generally there's too many people or whatever? Or did anything ever come up specifically about the nature of it being extreme haunt itself?
I think it was just kind of something everybody knew, especially because of the lines outside, the people visibly screaming, I think it's something that was warned beforehand, before they started working there or before they built it, It's just, this is going to be here. This is what it is. That's it.
Okay. Let me take a look real quick at my script here and see if there's anything else I need to touch upon. But this is a good chance to add any thoughts you have on anything that I might not have touched upon yet in this.
I kind of like it when they do more of the physical stuff. For like 17th floor, like on how I mentioned about the like the crawling space one. I think that one was a really cool thing because like you're physically doing something rather than say like the prison one where you're kind of being escorted through a little area or stuff like that. Like you're actually kind of like crawling around or maybe or like messing around with some stuff. I kind of like that kind of aspect.
I wish I would have got to experience the water rooms.
Oh, that's insane.
Honestly, it terrified me.
That would be so fun.
Anything where I can't breathe, honestly, are the ones that get to me. Like, I can do most everything else, but if I can't breathe, I'll freak out.
A way that I learned to not get, too wet in the water room, my stepdad actually told me because he was one of the first people to do the walkthroughs. I'm too short. I'm 5 foot. This man is 5'8". So he was just like, yeah, just push up on your elbows. When I tried, I got nowhere. So
it's like doing the plank.
Yeah. So I had to actually physically plank. I pushed myself up and I just lifted my head up to like up towards the airbag, and I didn't get water on my face. The rest of me was a little damp. Yeah, my body was a little damp, but my face was not. That was like the best thing about it.
That's good.
But we had that room for the water room, and then we had one, I think, after the lockers, or after... We had this room called Suck Face. It was kind of funny. It's like you're put into this little like cubicle type thing almost, and then they put like this little gas mask on your face.
We did that.
Yeah, it was, I think, one of those, one after cell block, where you're put into the lockers, they'll spin you around, and then they're like guiding you into this place, and they're just like, come on, you have to bend down, crouch, and then there's water just splashing at you.
Oh, that was another thing I was wondering. Was it open during COVID? And if it was, how did they handle sanitizing or the sanitary stuff when it comes to the things on your face?
Oh, the 17th door? Was the 17th door open? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, during
COVID. It was. It was open. We had just like masks on the face. Most of the stuff we didn't have touching, and then we would pretty much just like sanitize it as fast as we could before somebody else came in.
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was like...
Yeah, pretty much, because we have like a 15 second, at most 15 second, like 10, 15 second window before another group comes in. But I think during COVID, because there was like social distancing, they would give it a little bit more of a window.
Mm-hmm. I just kind of assume that you consent to possibly getting sick.
Whatever. Pretty much.
It's like they're throwing cockroaches on you, so...
I seem to recall a clip of like...
I guess I signed up for this, but considering the pandemic, I didn't let them do that. Maybe it was.
I seem to recall like there was a clip online I saw of like the waiver room when they did it like during COVID, and I think they literally mentioned like COVID was a risk like during it, like they incorporated it into the spiel.
Yeah. So they revolted the entire like video that we had. The actors, they had to like train them to say lines about like, oh yeah, you can get COVID, like because we have these rooms where you can sit down or you can watch the actors on the other side. It's like Paula and then one of the wardens, and they're basically having this intervention about there being a breakout of COVID inside of the prison. Oh. So that was also something that they did.
That's smart.
All right, I don't have any more questions on the script here, so I think unless anyone's got any last thoughts, we'll probably wrap up here.
I think the execution chamber was a funny one. The one where they put you into like a little chamber, filled it up with gas or the smoke, and then they drop you into the ball pit.
Oh my god, I love
Oh, that was great.
Room. The ball pit, I love that room. It's changed like 3 different times, because I remember it was just like you walk off the edge, or sometimes you could sit and then you're lifted off the edge, right, and then you're into the ball pit. And then they changed it to where you're pushed into these like prison cells, almost like the little boxes, and then it opens in the back. And then now, last year, all you did was stand there and the balls just kind of like fell on top of you, lifted up, right?
Yeah, I remember the one where it's like they put you in the chamber, then it tilts back, and then it just kind of opens from behind.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that, so suddenly like being tilted back, I was expecting like, okay, tilted back gas, maybe like some spraying water or something, and then it opens up and you move on to the next thing. I didn't expect random drop into the ball pit. That spooked me. That was pretty good.
That one's my favorite room, but I know they changed it, and there was a lot of things lost in the ball pit. We would always find phones. I remember at the cast party a few years ago, somebody lost a key fob in it. It was great. So
nice. I have another question about our room. I'm thinking about it. I want to ask about the room with like the weird animal, like dead animal things that happened this previous year.
Oh, the butcher, the meat locker.
Yeah, can you just tell me a little bit about that room? Because I was kind of wondering what the whole deal with that was.
It, dude. It was awful. So the meat locker, There's real dead chickens. There's dead fish. They also have like cat. Huh?
That was a real dead fish.
Oh yeah, no. All of it was real.
Oh, that just makes it grosser.
At some point they brought like a dead shark, like an actual dead shark, and they kept it in there for a while, and it was so fucking bad. You could smell it throughout the entire haunt, and the people who worked in there would smell so bad the next day. I remember I was waiting to get my makeup done, and one of the guys who was constantly in the meat locker sat next to me. I had to get up because I was like, no, I'm not doing this right now. Yeah, but at some point I remember we had like cat food in there to make the smell a little more potent. But yeah, it was not great. I hated it.
That means me and Christer got smacked with dead fish. I didn't have their problem.
No.
Oh, that makes that so much worse, knowing that it was real.
So funny.
It's over now. That's a good thing, you know? But it was 100% real. They were all 100% real.
I thought it was a prop.
I was wondering. The chicken was the one that made me question it.
Yeah, no, those were dead. Those were real dead chickens, and yeah, the fish was 100% real.
I respect that level of dedication to their craft.
Yeah,
Definitely.
That's gnarly. That's so.
I'm pretty sure the health department wouldn't like that, but I respect it.
They're like, well, technically it's frozen, so it's just like a grocery store.
Do you guys actually ever have issues with like health inspectors or anything? Do you guys?
I have no idea, but I'm sure if we did, I really don't think they would like it. I'm gonna be real. Especially now that they're in the mall, I kind of want to know what would happen if they did get like health inspected.
I'd be genuinely
Does it
curious.
matter if they don't serve food though?
I think it would because there's food around that general area, you know?
So they're like, you're 2 doors down from a restaurant, you gross people.
Yeah, and on top of that, they have roaches, you know? So on top of the dead fish, the dead chickens, they have insects inside of there 24/7.
So, the mall just never bothered to check.
No, we're not allowed to take them home. Although...
Who takes care of them whenever it's closed? Like, where do the roaches go?
Oh, there's people building, like, pretty much every day to every other day, as far as I know. So they'll feed them. If they die, they'll breed more. There's more being, like, transported. I know at some points.
So y'all got, like, a roach dealer.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what is the haunt's relationship with the current mall? Out of curiosity, like, how did they end up at that mall? I mean, it's a really cool location, like, it's being so close to Knott's Berry Farm.
Mm-hmm. I don't really know. Because I didn't work last year, I don't really know how it was. I don't even know where it's at. I know it's at that mall, but I didn't get to go myself because, like I said, I was working, and I usually close. So by the time I would get home, it would already be closed by that time because I get out at like 11:30. And the 17th door usually is open until like 12 to 1 at the very latest. So I know it's like a bigger space, like most definitely bigger, but I don't really know how they landed that. It's a very good opportunity though, because I remember Robbie saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to be here for a really long time." And then he's just like, "Oh yeah, we're moving."
Jersey. I think that's pretty much it at this point. We'll talk about any other rooms there. Oh, actually, I do have one other question. There you go. You first, Eris. You go first.
I was wondering about, have y'all ever had to turn anyone down because of their accessibility or their health conditions? Because I was wondering about if like, let's say an elderly person went through and they had to do the turning room where you have to stand up really fast. Is there a way that, or is there anyone that y'all say, okay, this is not going to be for you. We're going to have to like basically default mercy you for this one? Or do you just not, they don't go through the whole thing because you don't want to risk them really getting hurt? Or did they just sign a waiver and kind of have to figure it out themselves?
They sign the waiver, obviously, but if we think that they can't handle it, we'll just take them aside and just like, hey, we don't think that you can do this. And then we'll take them around. Like, for example, Tumblr, the one that just spins. We will take them around it because there's a separate way that we can get to and from the rooms. Like, we'll take them towards the back room.
Not like the staff areas?
Yeah, pretty much. So the amount of times we've had to take people out of the maze and then they have to go through the staff room and we're just like, oh, who are you?
So funny.
Yeah. So if they're like, if they physically cannot, if they're like in a wheelchair, if they're in crutches for some reason, if they come through in crutches, yeah, it's pretty much just like, yeah, we really can't. Sorry, you can go through the rest. It's just this. We don't think that you can.
So out of curiosity, how much is
that? I was like, that could be dangerous. They just go in it anyways and they're on crutches and it starts turning.
Yeah, for disability though, I know we do have not so much as a mercy pendant, but it is the same concept. There are some for deaf people. So I believe this one is blue and the regular mercy pendant is like red. So if you are deaf, we give you a separate one. So we know, oh yeah, this person cannot hear us. We need to speak very visibly and like show that we're talking to you,
Makes sense.
That makes sense.
I know we're talking like serious in that aspect, but I just imagine like a scare actor just sign languaging boo and freaking out.
Oh, that'd be fun. That's hilarious.
So a question, like, how often does like prescription glasses become an issue? Like, I know for some people you can take it off and do whatever, but for people that are like totally blind without them, like, does that ever become an issue?
Oh my god, I forgot about that part.
Oh my god, me. So I have prescription glasses, but I also wear contacts when I'm working at the 17th door, and for some reason I thought I could not wear my glasses while doing it, but I would see other people doing it. So at some point I kind of got tired and I put my glasses on. But I don't think they really care, because if you can't see, then you can't see. It's more of just what are you going to do? You're going to like hit something and just like, oops, let's restart the scene. Like, you cannot do that. So it's like, if you have glasses, then you just need to wear them.
Yeah, I remember for like the VR part, because I have glasses. I have contacts now, but before 2021, I didn't have them, so I had my glasses. I remember for the VR part, I was like, oh, I can't see it from my glasses. I remember the actor was like, well, tough shit.
Oh, yeah, we make you take them off. Yeah, for like glasses, bracelets, anything like that, we make you take them off just because we don't want to risk them getting broken or, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then like the water portions, like I think it was the same one was like the cockroach room. Is that when I started getting the water splash on me, like, God damn it, now my glasses are all smudged.
Yeah.
Which was like, it ruined my vision, but it made it even scarier because like now everything's like a weirder blur.
Yeah.
All right, so my other question I had also, and I don't know if you had any involvement with that part, but I keep hearing about the field trip, and I haven't had a chance to do it yet. I was just wondering if you could give any insight into that.
Field trip is pretty fun. I went, I think it was 2021. I went during the cast party. I didn't have an opportunity to do it before. So the cast party, I'll just explain this. So we have the maze open. So we have the lights on. You can go through it. I remember my stepdad, he told me, he was like, oh yeah, 2019. I even brought my DJ equipment. We had a party in the ball pit. But I did field trip during the cast party, and it's pretty fun. It's like you're pretty much just taken. It's in the same parking lot as where it's at now in Buena Park. And there's like, I know there's, we had furries there, but they're like strippers almost.
Party.
That's literally what they were called on the cast list. Every single time when you clock in, they're just the furries. And we were just like, okay, we know where to go. So you have to get dressed, get to wherever you're going.
Question:
right?
How do we get a audition for this part? Because I literally have the fursuit.
You know?
So
I was gonna say,
for the furries, you don't get like an entire fursuit. You get the head of one. Although,
So what you're saying is head.
there was one cast who walked in an entire fursuit while we were getting ready, and everybody was just like, "Oh, hello."
Nice.
Yeah. So there's clowns in it, and you're pretty much just running away from them. You're going through all these obstacles. At some point, there's this really tight like squeeze where you have to. It's almost like a maze, but you have to walk very strategically. At some point, they make you stop. And they're just like, okay, stop. They're right there. Be quiet. And you're pretty much just running away from the clowns. That's pretty much just what it is to sum it up as when I went. Because, yeah.
Do they have like actual like tasers that they keep with them then? 'Cause I heard of something like that, something to like zap you with, right?
Yeah, they do. And
Nice.
I know a lot of the other clowns do. But the main clown of this is Bozo the clown. He's like the I guess quote unquote leader of this one for Field Trip. I don't know if he has a taser, but I know the other ones do. The other rooms throughout the maze, you can keep tasers. The only rooms that could not are VR. I know that for sure because we were not allowed any tasers.
There.
ooh, no fun.
Aww.
David, they should just give the refs at your airsoft place tasers.
Oh no! So
That would be kind
we
of
used to
fun,
be able to-
Loki.
Now, what I used to do is I used to have my airsoft revolver on my hip,
Mhm.
and if someone was either being too dumb or making a joke, I either shoot near them just to get their attention, or I'd shoot them in the foot or the leg and just be like, "Hey, shut the fuck up! I'm doing some stuff."
Mm-hmm.
David, on another podcast, we'll have to
pull out a revolver to aim at you.
We'll have to do another podcast
yeah.
at some point where we talk about like the airsoft facility. Remind me later. We'll schedule something.
Oh, I could tell so many stories about either airsoft at my place or just airsoft events in general.
It's your time to shine, David.
I've been doing airsoft, I think, since like 2016, 15.
I
so,
always
I got a
see
lot of
on your
stories.
I always see on your Instagram stories, and I'm just like, oh, that looks so fun.
Oh, if you want to, like, what was it? I'm not working this Sunday. So, wait, what am I doing this Sunday, actually? Sunday.
I work Sunday.
Rip.
Wait, anytime, pretty much, just if you want to come down, just let me know. I can let you borrow my gear, and it's like, hey, you got free stuff, go play.
But yeah, if you guys ever want to go through the 17th door, I would love people to go through with, even as a guest.
Fair.
I'll do it.
Just let me know.
Hey, next year comes along, Halloween time.
I'm so down.
Try to work this year. I'm gonna try to make it to auditions.
You should.
I would love that.
I'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to do scare acting this year again or not. I'm not sure.
Do you have to audition every year, or is it you can be like a vet, like you said, how your stepdad's been there so long, and they're just like, no, he's a job here.
For people like that, for people who have been at the 17th door since like 2017, 2018, you don't really have to audition, but it's more advised if you do, so they know, oh yeah, you're just going to go here, you're going to go there, you know, they can see what your skill level is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Alright, I think I'm going to wrap up this episode of Here Hoodlum here. Hit about hour and 19 minutes. Thanks guys for joining on the podcast. I am going to do a part 2 to this podcast in the future, talking about my experience doing Reckless Ben's basement and the whole McCamey Manor saga.
That too.
Wait, what's that one? I never heard of that.
That's there was this guy named Reckless Ben who, and I can talk a little bit about it after we turn this off, but essentially he went up against McCamey Manor and created his own extreme haunt and kind of exposed him as a fraud. So I do want to talk a bit about that story. Say that again.
I watched that video pretty recently too. I was just thinking the same thing. I wanted to go there.
He did like his own extreme haunted house over in like Skid Row area, basically a little south of it, in a warehouse, and I actually managed to get over there when they were doing that. So
You don't know if you're gonna walk into a music like fucking. You don't know if you're gonna walk into the horror place or a trap house. Then
yeah,
No, literally.
really, yeah. But I think I'm going to do a part 2 of this later, and I'm going to talk a bit about that, because I have a bit to say about that, and I'll probably stick that on the end of this, so it's going to get kind of like part 1, part 2, maybe we'll do a little intermission in between kind of deal.
yeah. And part 3 is going to be after we go to 17th door and again.
Yeah, maybe next year we'll do another one. That sucked, though. I had a friend that I met there who actually had traveled all the way down from Oakland to come to that men's basement thing. I've been trying to get a hold of him, but he hasn't been responding, so I think I'm going to have to just do a solo one for that one. So I'm just going to talk for like a half hour into the mic.
Maybe just let me know. I'm down to go too.
No, it was like a 1-day event. It was like they did it one night,
gotcha.
and like you had to show up on that night to do it. And I wasn't actually one of the participants. I was like audience member for it.
Oh, man.
Some wild shit though.
I did not know that. I thought it was going to be like a consistent thing. I didn't know it was only 1 day. Darn it, I missed it.
Yeah, I mean maybe he'll do it again, but like it was definitely a one-time thing. I can talk about it a little bit right now, and this can kind of get edited. But yeah, like when we showed up there, right? They had this like crazy there's a whole warehouse, right? And it was filled with all sorts of weird like contraptions they had built for it. And the way that they ran the haunted house was kind of odd. It felt more like a competition, like game show, but with like extreme things they were doing to you. So like with a lot of those extreme haunts, like they really get to you by isolating you. But with like the Ben's basement thing, he was kind of doing the opposite by giving this massive audience. So like, he had like almost a game show, like sporting event feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, done on like a shoestring budget. Like one of the things he had people doing is he had to walk in a straight line with a blindfold on and go touch a button on the opposite side of the room. But on both sides of you were an electric fence and all along the floor. And what he didn't tell you was that there was a bunch of mouse traps.
Oh, no.
So it was wild watching people just do this thing. And like,
Yeah, probably.
during that, there's people like screaming at you from every like direction, which direction, right? So it felt like this just chaotic, out of control game show, and it was kind of interesting to see Extreme Haunt take a totally different approach at it.
Yeah, that's funny.
I can imagine that being like if Mr. Beast did a haunted type of thing.
Yeah,
At
it
that
kind of
point,
felt
is
like
it
that.
even a haunt, or is it just like Jackass?
It kind of felt Jackass-ish, yeah. Well, it's because that's the thing. Is like everything he was doing there was supposed to be a response to like him taking down McKamey Manor and proving all the stuff was fake and that most of it's Russ making up shit. So what he was trying to do was that every single thing that Russ McKamey said that he had, they started just adding it, like basically a version of it in there. So like he's like, my haunts might not be the best haunt, but it's real. It actually didn't do it.
Yeah.
And he had a really weird mix of contestants that like came onto it, right? There was like this one woman who was like 60 years old that was doing this thing. I think she like traveled to like other extreme haunts before, like Catus Silvis and Blackout and those kind of haunts.
Dang, so she's an OG.
Oh yeah, I have some footage of it. I don't even think the Reckless Ben video's come out yet, but I should post some of it eventually once that video does come out.
Yeah, that's so fun.
I definitely want to talk a bit more about it, but I think I want to save that for when I do the podcast at some point for it. It was wild though. It was wild.
If you see it again, if he does another event, hit me a message and let me know, because I would be very down.
For sure.
Same.
Yeah, that sounds funny as hell. Even if I had to be electrocuted, or if you're the one watching, either way, that sounds insane. I would definitely like to be there.
It was wild. It was also kind of crazy because like there was it's like very haphazard. So there was like random people from the audience that's like far too drunk to be there and just started fucking with random contestants, and I'm like, it was not the safest thing in the world I've been to.
Not at all. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Jackass.
Felt like it.
That's so funny.
I'm going to do the sign off here, but we can keep chatting after that if you want. But I'm going to turn off the recording.
Well, it was so nice meeting y'all.
Same
It
here.
was nice
Yeah.
meeting you guys too.
Yeah, it's good getting to chat here. We'll also do 17th door next year. I'm down.
Yes, for sure. I had some.
Oh, wait, it is barely the start of like 2024, so wouldn't they be doing it near the end of the year?
True.
Chance to plug stuff if you have anything you want to plug.
Follow me at twitch.tv/namu__.
I don't have a damn thing.
Gibby.
Give it.
That's hilarious.
All right, this was the first episode of. This is the first episode of Here Hoodlum.
What?
Yeah, my airsoft team's name is Gibby. It's GIB6Y.
Nice.
I thought you meant like Gibby from iCarly. I was like, that's.
Oh yeah, that's the joke of it. Because basically Namu's significant other, when we were in high school, we were always fucking around.
That's what that
And
is.
yeah, because he would run. I think it was one point because he broke our friend's rib, and when he was doing that, he was running and screaming Gibby, and we just thought it was funny as hell. So we would just start saying Gibby now and then. I just like, all right, I want to make that my airsoft team, and then
This is
everyone's like, yeah, we're the Gibbies.
Completely unrelated to any of this entire podcast, but my boyfriend knows Gibby, and I thought that was the coolest thing I've ever heard.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I gotta
do-
do.
that
future.
Maybe we'll do a Schneider,
it.
Dan Schneider like sitcom like topic at some point because I've been way too into that lately with like Quentin Reviews thing.
Oh man, that's a whole other breed to get into.
Mm-hmm.
If you tune into the next Here Hoodlum episode, maybe we'll hear about it. All right, this is part 2 of the podcast on extreme haunted houses as part of the first episode of Here Hoodlum. I'm just kind of going off the cuff here. I don't really have a script for this part of the series. But I wanted to talk a bit about McCamey Manor and Reckless Ben. So, to give a little bit of background here, McCamey Manor was essentially this extreme haunted house, quote-unquote, where this guy named Russ McCamey, who used to live in San Diego but currently lives in Tennessee, would essentially tailor suit a haunted house to make you feel like you're in basically a torture porn movie. His old philosophy was that essentially he would not give you a safe word and you would just have to endure whatever he gave to you. And that was kind of a big part of the appeal there. He used to have all these weird special effects. I mean, back when you started the haunt, it was kind of a normal haunted house in San Diego, and he slowly just ramped up the intensity of it as he went until eventually it became an extreme haunt. It wasn't the first extreme haunt. The first extreme haunt, I believe, can be chalked back to Blackout, based in New York City. But yeah, Blackout started in New York City, and it was this extreme haunted house that it was basically created the concept of it when they realized they wanted to do just a little bit more other than, what was typically allowed at a regular haunted house where they can't touch you, where they can just, say boo or do loud noises or whatever. So McCamey Manor was one of the earlier adopters of the concept, and at first it was considered really cool because you had a lot of interesting special effects, but it started to get really sinister. Essentially, what they found out with Russ McCamey is that this guy's a bit of a psychopath. He would basically just torture and do all sorts of horrible things to you. And, that's one thing if the consent was given, but the thing is, he would have people sign these contracts and then he wouldn't let you leave once you were doing it. You weren't done until he was done. When he moved to Tennessee, he claimed that he had changed that practice due to Tennessee police telling him he had to follow consent laws. But it's not what happened. Because basically, it was proven that Russ McCamey was just an absolute narcissist and total liar. A lot of the stuff he claimed to do, he didn't have, especially after his San Diego haunt. After he left his San Diego haunt, basically run out of there because a lot of his actors turned on him and his wife divorced him and took a bunch of his stuff. He went to Tennessee and he didn't really have much there, so all that was left was the pieces that were him torturing people. There wasn't really a haunted house at that point. What he would usually do, and he was proven to do this based on some hard drive footage that was leaked by a guy named Reckless Ben, is he would take various victims, frankly, he'd lure people to Tennessee. He'd do some awful thing to them. Usually not something he listed in his contract. and he would film their reaction to whatever it was he did and get them to act like what he did. Like he'd tell them what they had to say. Like, for example, for one woman that he had on he had on his thing, he basically took mace and maced her in the eyes, and then like punched her several times. And that's about all he did. There was no haunted house. It wasn't really an extreme haunted house. And what he did is basically he turned the camera on her while she was like, crying and freaking out, and said, "All right, you're gonna tell them this is the best haunted house you've ever been to." So basically, what he did was use that disinformation to muddy up the waters so that you could never quite tell what was real and what wasn't real within McCamey Manor. So, people would say all these extreme things about it, but then he could just claim, "Oh, I'm just psychologically messing with you." That's the point. But of course, what he was really doing was pretty nefarious, but it was hard to tell what he was actually doing because he claimed a lot of it was just, for theater. So this guy named Reckless Ben came along and was interested in doing the haunted house. And he went there only to kind of discover the whole thing was basically doing exercises in this guy's front yard. And because he was a YouTuber, he went very easy on him and didn't want Reckless Ben to get tortured the way he would to maybe a more hapless victim that doesn't have the same level of clout. Especially because Reckless Ben was well known for investigating numerous cults and investigating other scams and doing crazy stuff in general. Anyway, when he figured out it was all bullshit, he started to troll Russ. And one of the ways he did this was by creating his own extreme haunted house, and that was Ben's Basement, was what he called it. Reckless Ben's Basement. Well, essentially, he opened up Reckless Ben's Basement to the public and got about 10-ish contestants. And I actually got a chance to attend this because he had this as a public event. I did not participate, but I was there as a spectator. Sorry, asthma issues tonight. But yeah, I showed up as a spectator to this location, basically a little south of Skid Row in the warehouse district of LA. And it was really interesting. It was kind of a bizarre event to partake in. I remember, like I said earlier in the podcast, I met this guy from Oakland who had come down there just for this event. And essentially the whole event, what it felt like to me was kind of like he was trying to do everything that McCamey Manor claimed to have that it never did. For example, they claimed to have the world's longest zip line. Of course they don't. So they didn't have a zip line there, but there were other things that were kind of... Like he was trying to do everything to an extent, because obviously he didn't have the budget to do too much. But the idea was to basically make good on promises that Russ had that he never made good on. But what was weird with the haunted house is that with a lot of extreme haunted houses, you're very isolated, and the idea is to kind of put you in a creepy horror movie where you feel very isolated and by yourself. But this event essentially ended up turning into kind of an endurance test, almost like hazing a little bit, where the various contestants, and it kind of felt like they were on a game show, right? So it's this high-stress environment where you're being watched by numerous spectators. So it was interesting, honestly, to watch them partake in these various physical challenges. But it didn't feel very much like what you traditionally think of as a haunted house or an extreme haunted house. Or at least it was a different take on it. I know that video hasn't come out yet, so I would recommend keeping an eye on Reckless Ben's channel. He's done a massive series on McCamey Manor, and I think it's really worth a watch. I would watch through the entire thing, frankly. There's also some other documentaries that have talked about the manor before. I know the show Dark Tourist, which I also highly recommend, talks about it at one point, although it's just brief. And then Hulu did a documentary about McCamey Manor that I think is well worth a watch as well. And also, Haunters Art of the Scare focuses on McCamey Manor for a substantial portion of its runtime. But it also is about haunted houses in general. Actually, the reason I thought about doing a podcast on 17th Door first was because of my interest in McCamey Manor. I've been following it for a really long time. And finally seeing Russ McCamey get caught for the horrible illegal things he's done has been, very gratifying to see it, frankly. He's finally getting caught, and the Attorney General of Tennessee's on his ass. Reckless Ben put it into motion. Got nothing but respect for the guy for that. I would highly recommend the rest of Reckless Ben channel too. Let's just shout that out because I've been watching a ton of his content and he does nothing but brilliant journalist work. Yeah. If you heard about that crazy house wrecking party that took place with Bam Margera and the guy from Sublime, Reckless Ben put that together. So I would keep an eye on his work because I think he's going places, honestly. And plus, YouTube keeps flagging his content because it's always ever so slightly controversial. But yeah, I would give him a follow and check out his stuff. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more about Reckless Ben's basement, but I do want to wait a bit till the video shows up. Once the video actually comes out, he'll actually be in it in a couple spots. It was funny. Ben kept literally like filming his little bits with me directly behind him. Like I'd be chatting with the guy from Oakland who was drunk, and we'd just be end up right behind Ben every time the camera started rolling on him. So I feel like I'm going to end up in the background like a million shots, which is pretty funny. But yeah, I've been interested in trying an extreme haunted house. I almost volunteered for the Ben's basement, but I chickened out of it, honestly. I do kind of want to try like an extreme haunted house that's like a little bit further along than 17th Door is. I've been debating it. The one I've been considering is Gates of Hell, which I talked a little bit about in the other part of the podcast, in Las Vegas, which is part of the Freakling Brothers thing. They basically have 3 haunts, and one of them is an extreme haunt, and it's very similar to the 17th Door in style, but I have heard it's a little more intense. But I've been interested in other ones too. I don't know. There's definitely certain phobias where I'd have a hard time, so be very curious, because I know a lot of extreme haunts tend to not tell you all the specifics. So, that's the scary part of it, right? Trying to push yourself past your limits. Yeah, anyway, I just wanted to add this addendum to it. I thought this was kind of an important piece of the whole extreme haunt thing. I want to talk more about this on the main podcast, but I don't know anyone that's participated in extreme haunted houses except for the 17th Door. If anyone knows anybody that's participated in various extreme haunts, I'd be interested in talking to them and getting a feel for what it's like when you go a little bit further than 17th Door does. Anyway, I'm going to cut it off here. This is the end of the Here Hoodlum podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. Peace.